It's kind of dark though. A lot of, a lot of dark on this side of my face. Let me turn on a different light. Oh, what's up, Chaco? Will this make any difference? Oh, is that better? Kinda. Slightly better. Not as much shadow over here, but it's still kind of shadowy. But what's up, chat? Welcome back to another daily One Year Bible Read here on the channel. So I decided we're gonna do our Bible reads first, and then Think and Grow Rich afterwards. So today is May the 29th in our daily read. Because we're 2 days early, right? Because we started 2 days early. This guy, brother. What's up, Niche? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. This guy just shows up every single time now, huh? Without fail. But today's read is going to come from 2 Samuel 14, 1 through 15, going through verse 22. We're going to follow up Samuel with John 18, 1 through 24. We're going to follow up John with Psalms 119, 97 through 112, and then Proverbs 16, 8 through 9 to wrap up tonight's daily read. Let's go ahead and get into the read really quickly. I'm going to put this guy down. It's a lot easier to read when he's not up here, you know? So you got to go down, bud. It's easier to read when you're not up here, I'm not going to lie. And I'm going to cross my legs so he can't jump up here again. You know? Okay. Now, let's get into today's daily read. So, coming from 2 Samuel 14, 1 through 15, going through verse 22, it goes like this, chat. So, Joab realized how much the king longed to see Absalom. So, he sent for a woman from Tekoa who had a reputation for great wisdom. He said to her, pretend you are in mourning, wear mourning clothes, and don't put on lotions. Act like a woman who has been mourning for the dead for a long time. Then go to the king and tell him the story I'm about to tell you. Then Joab told her what to say. When the woman from Tekoa approached the king, she bowed her with her face to the ground in deep respect and cried out, O king, help me. What's the trouble? The king asked. Alas, I am a widow, she replied. My husband is dead. My 2 sons had a fight out in the field, and since no one was there to stop it, one of them was killed. Now the rest of the family is demanding, let us have your son. We will execute him for murdering his brother. He doesn't deserve to inherit his family's property. They want to extinguish the only coal I have left, and my husband's name and family will disappear from the face of the earth. Leave it to me, the king told her. Go home, and I'll see to it that no one touches him. Oh, thank you, my lord the king, the woman from Tekoa replied. If you are criticized for helping me, let the blame fall on me and on my father's house, and let the king and his throne be innocent. If anyone objects, the king said. Bring him to me. I can assure you, he will never harm you again. What's up, Faison? What's up, man? How you doing? Welcome, Wade from Pakistan, bro. Then she said, please swear to me by the Lord your God that you won't let anyone take vengeance against my son. I won't no more bloodshed. As surely as the Lord lives, he replied, not a hair on your son's head will be disturbed. Please allow me to ask one more thing of my lord, the king, she said. Go ahead and speak, he responded. She replied, why don't you do as much for the people of God as you have promised to do for me? You have convicted yourself in making this decision because you have refused to bring home your husband's banished son. All of us must die eventually. Our lives are like water spilled on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. But God does not just sweep life away. Instead, he devises ways to bring us back when we have been separated from him. I have come to plead with my lord, the king, because people have threatened me. I said to myself, perhaps the king will listen to me and rescue us from those who would cut us off from the inheritance God has given us. Yes, my lord, the king will give us peace of mind again. I know that you are like an angel of God in discerning good from evil. May the Lord your God be with you. I must know one thing, the king replied, and tell me the truth. Yes, my lord the king, she responded. Did Joab put you up to this? And the woman replied, my lord the king, how can I deny it? Nobody can hide anything from you. Yes, Joab sent me and told me what to say. He did it to place the matter before you in a different light. But you are as wise as an angel of God, and you understand everything that happens among us. So the king sent Joab and told him, all right, Go and bring back the young man, Absalom. Joab bowed with his face to the ground in deep respect and said, At last, I know that I have gained your approval, my lord the king, for you have granted me this request. Then Joab went to Geshur and brought Absalom back to Jerusalem. But the king gave this order: Absalom may go to his own house, but he must never come in my presence. So Absalom did not see the king. Now Absalom was praised as the most handsome man in all of Israel. He was flawless from head to foot. He cut his hair only once a year, and then only because it was so heavy. When he weighed it out, it came to 5 pounds. He had 3 sons and 1 daughter. His daughter's name was Tamar, and she was very beautiful. Absalom lived in Jerusalem for 2 years, but he never got to see the king. Then Absalom sent for Joab to ask him to intercede for him, but Joab refused to come. Absalom sent for him a second time, but again Joab refused to come. So Absalom said to his servants, Go and set fire to Joab's barley field that's next to mine. So they set his field on fire, as Absalom had commanded. Then Joab came to Absalom at his house and demanded, Why did your servants set my field on fire? And Absalom replied, Because I wanted you to ask the king why he brought me back from Geshur if he didn't intend to see me. I might as well have stayed there. Let me see the king. If he finds me guilty of anything, then let him kill me. So Joab told the king what Absalom had said. Then at last David summoned Absalom, who came and bowed low before the king, and the king kissed him. After this, Absalom bought a chariot and horses, and he hired 50 bodyguards to run ahead of him. He got up early every morning and went out to the gate of the city. When people brought a case to the king for judgment, Absalom would ask where in Israel they were from, and they would tell them their tribe. Then Absalom would say, You've really got a strong case here. It's too bad the king doesn't have anyone to hear it. I wish I were the judge. Then everyone could bring their cases to me for judgment, and I would give them justice. When the people tried to bow before him, Absalom wouldn't let them. Instead, he took them by the hand and kissed them. Absalom did this with everyone who came to the king for judgment. So he stole the hearts of all the people of Israel. After 4 years, Absalom said to the king, Let me go to Hebron to offer a sacrifice to the Lord and fulfill a vow I made to him. For while your servant was at Geshur in Aram, I promised to sacrifice to the Lord in Hebron if he will bring me back to Jerusalem. All right, the king told him, Go and fulfill your vow. So Absalom went to Hebron, but while he was there, he sent secret messengers to all the tribes of Israel to stir up a rebellion against the king. As soon as you hear the ram's horn, his message read, You are to say, Absalom has been crowned king in Hebron. He took 200 men from Jerusalem with him as guests, but they knew nothing of his intentions. While Absalom was offering the sacrifices, he sent for Ahithophel, one of David's counselors who lived in Gilo. Soon many others also joined Absalom, and the conspiracy gained momentum. A messenger soon arrived in Jerusalem to tell David, All Israel has joined Absalom in a conspiracy against you. Then we must flee at once, or it will be too late, David urged his men. Hurry. If we get out of the city before Absalom arrives, both we and the city of Jerusalem will be spared from disaster. We are with you, his advisors replied. Do what you think is best. So the king and all his household set out at once. He left no one behind except 10 of his concubines to look after the palace. The king and all his people set out on foot, pausing at the last house to let all the king's men move past to lead the way. There were 600 men from Gath who had to come with David, along with the king's bodyguard. Then the king turned and said to Ittai, a leader of men from Gath, Why are you coming with us? Go on back to King Absalom, for you are a guest in Israel, a foreigner in exile. You arrived only recently and I force you today to wander with us. I don't even know where we will go. Go on back and take your kinsmen with you, and may the Lord show his unfailing love and faithfulness. But Ittai said to the king, I vow by the Lord and by your own life that I will go wherever my lord the king goes, no matter what happens, whether it means life or death. David replied, All right, come with us. So Ittai and all his men and their families went along. And now we're going to get into John 18, 1-24. After saying these things, Jesus crossed the Kidron Valley with his disciples and entered a grove of olive trees. Judas, the betrayer, knew this place because Jesus had often gone there with his disciples. The leading priests and Pharisees had given Judas a contingent of Roman soldiers and the temple guards to accompany him. Now with blazing torches, lanterns, and weapons, they arrived at the olive grove. Jesus fully realized all that was going to happen to him, so he stepped forward to meet them. Who were you looking for, he asked. Jesus the Nazarene, they replied. I am he, Jesus said. Judas, who had betrayed him, was standing with them. As Jesus said, I am he, they all drew back and fell to the ground. Once more he asked them, who are you looking for? And again they replied, Jesus the Nazarene. I told you that I am he, Jesus said. And since I'm the one you want, let these others go. He did this to fulfill his own statement. I did not lose a single one of those you have given me. Then Simon Peter drew a sword and slashed off the right ear of Malchus, the high priest's slave. But Jesus said to Peter, put your sword back into its sheath. Shall I not drink from the cup of suffering the Father has given me? So the soldiers, the commanding officer, and the temple guards arrested Jesus and tied him up. First, they took him to Annas, since he was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, the high priest at that time. Caiaphas was the one who told the other Jewish leaders, it's better that one man should die for the people. Simon Peter followed Jesus, as did another of the disciples. That other disciple was acquainted with the high priest, so he was allowed to enter the high priest's courtyard with Jesus. Peter had to stay outside the gate. Then the disciples who knew the high priest spoke to the woman watching at the gate, and she let Peter in. The woman asked, Peter, you're not one of that man's disciples, are you? No, he said, I am not. Because it was cold, the household servants and the guards had made a coal fire, and they stood around it, warming themselves, and Peter stood with them, warming himself. Inside, the high priest began to ask Jesus about his followers and what he had been teaching them. And Jesus replied, everyone knows what I teach. I have preached regularly in the synagogues and the temple where the people gather. I have not spoken in secret. So why are you asking me this question? Ask those who heard me. They know what I said. Then one of the temple guards standing nearby slapped Jesus across the face. Is that the way to answer the high priest? He demanded. Jesus replied, if I said anything wrong, you must prove it. But if I'm speaking the truth, why are you beating me? Then Annas bound Jesus and sent him to Caiaphas, the high priest. And now, chat, that is the end of John 18, 1 through 24. And now Psalms 119, 97 through 112. Mem. Oh, how I love your instructions. I think about them all day long. Your commands make me wiser than my enemies, for they are my constant guide. Yes, I have more insight than my teachers, for I am always thinking about your laws. I am even wiser than my elders, for I have kept your commandments. I refuse to walk on any evil path, so that I may remain obedient to your word. I have turned away from your regulations, for you have taught me well. How sweet your words taste to me. They are sweeter than honey. Your commandments give me understanding. No wonder I hate every false way of life. And now this is coming from Noon. Your word is a lamp to guide my feet and a light for my path. I promised it once, and I'll promise it again. I will obey your righteous regulations. I have suffered much, O Lord. Restore my life again, as you promised. Lord, accept my offering of praise and teach me your regulations. My life constantly hangs in a balance, but I will not stop obeying your instructions. The wicked have set traps for me, but I will not turn from your commandments. Your laws are my treasure. They are my heart's delight, and I am determined to keep your decrees to the very end. In chat, that was Psalms 119, 97 through 112. And now Proverbs 16, 8 through 9. Now, better to have little with godliness than to be rich and dishonest. We can make our own plans, but the Lord determines our steps. Let's read it one more time. Better to have little with godliness than to be rich and dishonest. We can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. And now right here at the bottom it says, more like Peter or more like Judas? More like Peter or more like Judas? That was very clear this time. Sometimes it takes a long time to focus. More like Peter or more like Judas? In John 18, two men betray Christ very differently. Peter loved Jesus, but in his fear, he denied the Lord, as Jesus had predicted. Judas I've never seen this word before. Was volitional in his betrayal. I had to look that one up. I never seen that word before. He was not doing something. He was not doing something spur of the moment. He was willfully betraying Jesus to his very face. Both were betrayals, but only one man sought to be restored, faithful Peter. We can look at these two and evaluate who we must resemble. Peter, the sinner failing under pressure, or Judas, the sinner deliberately pressing forward on his sinful path to betray the Savior. Let's read it one more time. More like Peter or more like Judas? I want to volitional. That's the word. That's the word right there. Okay, more like Peter or more like Judas? In John 18, two men betray Christ very differently. Peter loved Jesus, but in his fear, he denied the Lord. As Jesus had predicted, Judas was volitional in his betrayer. He was doing something in the spur of the moment. He was not doing something in the spur of the moment. He willfully betrayed Jesus to his very face. Both were betrayals, but only one man sought to be restored, faithful Peter. We can look at these two and evaluate who we most resemble. Peter, the sinner failing under pressure, or Judas, the sinner deliberately pressing forward on his simple path to betray the Savior. I'm gonna Google search that word later. I'm gonna Google search that word in my Word app so I can learn how to say that word properly. But chat, now we're going to turn off this camera really quickly, ask for clarity, wisdom, and discernment on the day's word, and I'll be right back. Volitional. Yeah, I kind of got that niche, but my tongue, I'm really country, so some words are hard for me to say. Some words are a little hard for me to say, but give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I'm gonna close my eyes. All right, chat, we're back. What's up, Ash? How you doing? Dude, I have never heard this word, nor do I know how to pronounce it. I was curious too. Yeah, it's the country accent. Sometimes the country accent gets in my way when I'm trying to read. I don't have a lot of it still because I've been in the city and stuff a lot these past couple of years, but the country accent gets in my way sometimes. Makes it a little tough to read some words, but I work with it. I do my best. I work with it as much as possible. Now let's go over today's word chat. So today we read from 2 Samuel 14, 1 through 15. And what's up, Ash? How you doing? 2 Samuel 14, 1 through 15. Then we read from John 18, 1 through 24. We followed up John with Psalms 119, 97 through 112. And then we wrapped up tonight's read with Proverbs 16, 8 through 9. Now let's go over, Proverbs 16, 8 through 9. So better to have little with godliness than to be rich and dishonest. We can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. Let's read it one more time. Proverbs 16:8-9. Better to have little with godliness than to be rich and dishonest. We can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. That's talking about that goes really well with John 18:1-24 today. With Peter and Judas. Peter and Judas. That goes really well with today's verse from John 18:1-24. And 2 Samuel. Actually, 2 Samuel, where Absalom and David, Absalom, David, and Joab. Yeah. And you can see who's leading whose path. Definitely. Okay, so we got two really good examples today, right? Um, we got two good examples. So we're gonna go over 2 Samuel 14:1-15 and John 18:1-24, and how that ties into Proverbs 16:8-9, right? So let's read Proverbs 16:8-9 one more time. So better to have little with godliness than to be rich and dishonest. We can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps, right? So we're gonna go over the characters we talked about today, right? So our main characters today from today's stories happen to be Peter, Judas, Jesus from John, right? And from Samuel, it happens to be David, Joab, and Absalom, right? So how do these stories tie into each other, and how does that tie into Proverbs? So so we have our two characters. We have Judas and we have Absalom, right? So we have Judas and Absalom. So those characters to get together play the same part here in the stories. With would you rather be rich and dishonest, right? So both of them were chasing their own glory. They were chasing their own glory of that led them to do things that led them to be dishonest, to try to profit off of someone else's kindness, right? That was their ultimate goal at the end of the day, was to profit off of somebody else's kindness, right? And we have David and we have Peter, who they both made mistakes, right? But they both intended on correcting their mistakes, not going down that path again, and learning and moving forward, right? So we see how these two stories play together, and why these stories are put together today in this 1 year Bible read for day 149. Now, as we look at these characters and how they're playing their roles, we have to ask ourselves, right, from more like Peter, more like Judas, who do we want to be more like, right? And who are we being more like? Are we being more like Judas and Absalom, who are showing their greed and their dishonesty, and they'll do anything to make their way to the top, right? They'll do anything. They'll backstab anybody to get to the top. Or are we acting more like Peter and David, who they may have made mistakes, but they learn from their mistakes and they decide to move forward that way, and they decide to move forward in the correct way, right, in the right way. And that's a great question to ask, right? Are we scorching the earth, or are we planting seeds? You know, are we scorching the earth, or are we planting seeds? You know, so we have Absalom and Judas scorching the earth, and we have David and Peter attempting to plant seeds. So who are we being like is a great question. Who are we portraying in our everyday life? Are we portraying Absalom and Judas, or are we portraying David and Peter? Because everybody makes mistakes, but David and Peter are examples of making mistakes and learning from those mistakes and moving forward. Absalom and Judas are an example of making mistakes and continuing with those mistakes regardless, until they get to whatever they decided they wanted to get. So who are we being like today? And that's a great question to ask yourself. Who are you being like today, right? Because everybody makes mistakes. That doesn't make you a bad person. Everybody makes mistakes, right? But do you? I just took my phone out of the container, and the container is clean. Hey, nice clean phone case. It means your phone's clean. You have no pocket in your pockets. It means you cleaned your pockets real nice from our, so you can double tap the screen, right? That means you've been cleaning your pockets every time I say clean your pockets out. That's what that means. But I forgot where I was. But yeah, everybody makes mistakes, right? You know, everybody makes mistakes, but you can choose to learn and move forward, right? And not do the same things again. Or you can choose to be stubborn and keep doing the same thing. It's your choice, right? But it says we make our own plans, but the Lord determines our steps. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I meant to say slime. I'm so sorry. It's autocorrect. I was so confused by that. That doesn't make any sense. Ash doesn't make any sense. You know, and that's a great word today. I'm not gonna go any further. I'm not gonna overspeak today. I'm not gonna overspeak today. I feel like I overspoke yesterday. I feel like I overspoke yesterday. Today I'm not gonna overspeak. You know, yeah, that's where we're gonna leave it at today. So today is a chance to reflect on what you're currently doing and give yourself the opportunity to make any changes that are necessary for you to stay on the right path. Now, that is today's When You're About to Read. Wow, that's pretty quick. I'm not gonna lie. That was actually pretty quick. It's one of the quicker ones. That was our When You're About to Read for day 149 in a row, chat. Right after this stream, we're gonna do our Think and Grow Rich stream. But before we do that, we have to hit our outro for this stream. So we all have that limitless core, baby. I appreciate you. I might even love you, but I'm for sure glad you woke up today. Thank you for joining me on another day of our When You're About to Read, day 149. Day 149, bro. That's a lot of days. That's a lot of days. Is it not a lot of days? You know, that's a lot of days, bro. But I'm thankful for being able to do it another day. Just being able to do it another day, you know. Yeah, for sure. Hey, if it don't matter if you made a mistake today, you got a chance to correct it. So, you know, so take a look at yourself, smile in the mirror, and say, "I still got a chance." You feel me? I still have a chance. I still got a chance. You know, it's not over yet. I still have a chance, right? And I hope to see you in our next stream for Think and Grow Rich in about 5 minutes, chat. See you shortly. Peace. Well, probably like 1 minute, not 5. Like literally like probably like a minute and 30 seconds. But I'll see you shortly. Peace. Oh, he said he wanted to say peace too. Peace. He had to show his face. He had to show his face for the stream, chat. But see y'all later. In like a minute, 30 seconds.